Hello, my name is Dr. Quinton Hennigh. I'm Director and Technical Advisor to Eskay Mining. It is a pleasure to present this wonderful story of exploration in the Golden Triangle to you today. Here you can see our disclaimer. This is part of our corporate deck posted on our website. I encourage you to read it. Here you can see our capital structure. We presently have 157.4 million shares out. Current trading price is hovering around 234. That gives us a market capitalization of 368 million. You can see fully dilute, we have about 189 million shares out. I'm going to talk about our project in the Golden Triangle. You can see it here in red. It covers 526 square kilometers in the choicest ground within the Golden Triangle. We are immediately adjacent to the Eskay Creek deposit, which is being advanced by Skyna. We are also next to Treaty Creek, which is Tudor, and you can see Kerr Sulphurettes, KSM, which is Seabridge, as well as a Brucejack deposit, which is being mined by Pretium. Our project is defined by two packages. The blue-yellow package is collectively a joint venture with Kirkland Lake Gold. We have 80%, they have 20%. It is a contributing joint venture. They are required to spend the 20% contribution to maintain their percentage. We also have the Quarry project, which is 100% owned by Eskay Mining. The belt of rock that we're exploring extends from Eskay Creek Mine, which is just off our property to the north, southward in somewhat of an arcuate belt that goes through Lulu and extends clear down onto the Quarry property. We are exploring for precious metal-rich VMS deposits, volcanogenic massive sulfide deposits. And we control roughly 85% of the prospective ground for this special kind of deposit. This is what Eskay Creek was. It is what made it very famous, extremely high-grade gold and silver. And it is what we are looking for and what we have recently discovered, high-grade gold and silver on our ground. This plot shows you the position of Eskay Creek in the world of VMS deposits. All of the dots on this image are VMS deposits, and what you're looking at is their distribution in terms of tonnage as well as gold grade. Some VMS are low grade. Okay, they have maybe a gram per ton gold. But Eskay Creek stands head and shoulders above all of the rest of these deposits. You can see it has grades that are far above any other VMS here. Notice it is logarithmic scale. The head grade of the mine for life of mine was about 46 gram per ton gold. This is absolutely phenomenal. Not only that, it had about 2.23 kilograms of silver per ton as well. So this is an exceptionally precious metal-rich VMS deposit in the world of VMS. Now, notice that you have a spectrum in terms of size. Now, Eskay Creek is not exceptional in terms of its size. It was somewhere around 3 million tons. But the other deposits you see are range from maybe a few 100,000 ton all the way up to several hundreds of millions of tons. Okay, in any given VMS camp on Earth, you tend to find a cluster of deposits. You usually find several of the small deposits. You might find a few of the mid-tier, mid-sized deposits, like in Eskay Creek, for example. But you often find one larger deposit in each camp as well. Okay, and that is a typical distribution of how one finds VMS in these districts. Okay, people have asked for many years, where are the rest of the Eskay Creek deposits in this region? Well, I've got good news. They're on our ground, I'm very certain. Here you can see a map of our property. We also have highlighted the targets, the actual prospects that we've identified as VMS. So there's a number of existing deposits or targets that we are tackling. First and foremost, Lulu, but also TV Jeff. That is where we did drilling last year. I'll talk about those momentarily. But again, this is an arcuate belt that extends clear down to the south end of our property. Notice we have other targets at the south, like CFJ, or GFJ, C10, and Spearhead. These are also VMS. So we, again, have about 85% of the ground prospective for this type of deposit under our control. And most importantly, we now have a team whose expertise is in this style of deposit who is helping us explore. The team we have built comes out of the Colorado School of Mines. Thomas Monarchy, a very famous professor, expert in VMS deposits, who did his dissertation at Eskay Creek and actually wrote the seminal papers about that wonderful deposit, is the head of that team. He works very closely with John DeDecker, who is now our Vice President of Exploration. John, also from the School of Mines, he's getting his postdoc at the School of Mines, and he has expertise in exploration geochemistry, specifically for VMS deposits. So we have a wonderful team to tackle this intriguing, very high-grade style of mineralization. Now, by bringing in this team, we've gained a lot of expertise internally on how to explore for these deposits. And one of the first things they set about doing was looking at the existing Lulu corridor. This is immediately on strike to the south-southwest from the Eskay Creek deposit. Okay, so Skyna is immediately to the north of this image. You can see Tom McKay. That is actually a deposit being drilled by Skyna right now. It is right adjacent to our property. But that mineralization, that style of mineralization, those VMS deposits, come straight down the west side of this anticline and onto our ground. So we're basically looking at historic drilling and the reinterpretation of that drilling to guide us on how to explore this very important style of mineralization on our belt. We have something like 3.5 or 4 kilometers of strike to work with, and there are many drill holes in this area that were drilled up to 25 or 30 years ago that have high grade. We now have the right team who understands that by modeling things like wall rock alteration and other aspects, and we are starting to connect the dots. I expect we will have a considerable addition to the already existent Eskay Creek system on our land package. This will be a subject of our drilling this coming year. Here you can see our SkyTEM data. This shows the anticline, the two pink strips that you see there. That's basically the Bowser Lake sequence, which is the cap rock to the VMS systems. And what you're seeing are areas inside of those two strips, which is the interior of the Eskay anticline, which appear to us to be targets for VMS systems. These are basically areas where sulfide is picked up by the SkyTEM system, and you can see the pimples or blisters that have formed. We have numerous targets. Now, we did start drilling these. Once we saw this data come out last year, about July, we got very excited because you can see at TV and Jeff, there are numerous targets. So we actually committed to drilling in August of last year. We quickly rounded up a drill, went in and started drilling holes at both TV and Jeff, and had wonderful success very, very early on. What do I mean by success? We drilled 20 holes, and out of the 20 holes, 18 holes hit precious metal-rich VMS mineralization. It's a phenomenal outcome for a first-pass drill program. There were historic drill holes here from the early 1990s, but really this area has seen scant all exploration since that time period. Look at the results we have. We have exceptional grades in both gold and silver in many of these holes. These holes are commensurate with what's seen at Skyna around Eskay Creek. I think these holes are defining what is a new Eskay Creek. We'll call it Eskay Creek 2 type system at TV Jeff. What do I think is here? I think, again, to draw your memory back, VMS occur in camps. Sometimes there's a big one in those camps. I think we have the big one here at TV Jeff. Here you can see our magnetics data. We can identify 3 anticlines now. It's not just the Eskay anticline, but 3 anticlines. The eastern and western anticline are also important. But we have targets down at Corey. You can see numerous targets that are under 100% owned ground. And that includes things like the TET project here, very high-grade silver, perhaps stockwork feeder to a VMS. This is absolutely amazing stuff. We did some IP here last year that show walk up and drill me type targets. We have high-grade samples at surface. This is going to be an important target for us this coming year. Not only that, we've interpreted the geology. Here you can see how the rocks have been squished and folded into 3 anticlines. We now recognize 3 anticlines on our property. Again, this is not just the Eskay anticline anymore. We have 3 anticlines, including the western and eastern anticlines, and all are prospective for gold mineralization. We are truly blessed to host most of the prospective ground for precious metal VMS-rich deposits of the Eskay Creek type on our property. Today's presentation was quite short. We've had numerous presentations and also geologic talks about this exploration we're doing. I encourage you to go to our website, check that out. You can listen to more extensive discussions of our target and the work we're doing.